This is Bulletproof, where Hollywood scandals meet real detective work. I'm Steve Stanulis, former NYPD officer, celebrity bodyguard, and private investigator. Unlike other true crime podcasts, these aren't cold cases. These are active celebrity crime investigations happening right now. From Diddy's inner circle to A-list scandals. I've been there, and I'm exposing the celebrity secrets you've never heard. Welcome to Bulletproof. Now, this isn't your typical podcast. It's not your typical crime podcast. My name is Steve Stanulis, former NYPD police officer, bodyguard to A-listers around Hollywood, former Chippendale, what have you. And that's not what we're ever going to focus on. It's just the uniqueness of the life I've led. You add a lot of other things to it, actor, producer, director. But we want to focus on the private investigator, the police officer, and some of the Chippendale stuff because it all kind of ties in. Somebody who's actually seen the streets, lived the streets, and still in the streets. Now, this is the first episode, but it's not going to be a typical episode of true crime or what's moving forward. But this is something I feel like we have to talk about, being a ex-police officer, and it really pisses me off. I'm not a political guy, but when I see something that smells like shit, I have to call it out. And when somebody tells me they're going to vote for a mayor, and the first thing I hear is he's looking to defund the police, that's not only concerning, it's not only alarming, it's fucking mind-boggling. When you have somebody that comes in who obviously, I don't know if everybody knows this, and I know this through being an actor and working in some major roles. His mother was a producer in Hollywood. And as you know, Hollywood is a fucked up place. It's a privilege. It's delusion. It's not dealing with things because you don't have to. You vote and you have a certain vision of things because you don't ever have to deal with worrying about getting mugged or crime because you're not in a situation where there is crime, right? So, again, all delusion. This guy was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. And, again, when you have somebody who is basically running for mayor and actually won the primaries, it's disconcerting because, again, being a former NYPD police officer, I'd like to share a story. And I would like to, and there's a reason why I'm sharing it. I was only a cop for 7 years. So let me preface that. I was not a cop for 20 years. But my father was a cop, retired sergeant, 33 years. My brother's a cop, 20 years. My uncle, 20-something years. My cousin, 20-something years. So you add all those years up, it makes up for the 7 that I did. But I got out 3/4 with an injury. But this is how, now I want to find and ask you guys, if you were to defund the police, I'm going to give you a situation that I was in. And again, I was a cop, like I said before, I was a cop for 7 years. And we talked to cops that were cops for 20 years. I mean, every day there's a crazy, crazy story, right? That's why SVU can go on forever, because every day you think you've seen it all and something else happens. So let's play a game. Let's say Mamdani actually wins the primary and becomes our mayor, right? Let's go with that. He beats Adams, Cuomo, which he already did, technically, Cuomo, who I can't stand either. Again, this is not a political conversation. This is just something that I had to come on and talk about, being a former cop and just being from New York and hearing all these policies that Mamdani is trying to push. So I'm going to give you one story And you tell me if the situation came up when there was a defunding of the police, and now you have social workers dealing with this. Okay, let's play that game. So one time I was with my partner, and we were going for lunch, and we got a call for a man with a knife. Now, most of the times, a lot of these jobs are unfounded, which basically means you go there and it's not happened. So what happens is, I call with a knife. We go to lights and sirens, and basically, what happens is a woman comes out and said, "He's got a knife. Oh my God, he's got a knife." So now me and my partner are like, "Oh shit!" Pull out our guns, go into this house. We turn the corner with our guns out, and there's a guy with a knife. Now again, 5'5". At that point in time, I was a lot bigger than I am now, and my partner was even bigger than me. And we tell the guy, drop the knife. He proceeds to pull his tongue out, take the knife and cut out his tongue, and throws it at our feet. And we look at each other, and then we look down, and we're like, essentially, have ESU respond forthwith, which means if you're not a cop, have ESU come like right now because we have an issue. So we try to subdue this guy, and we're slipping on blood. He's throwing us around like we're rag dolls. Nothing. We couldn't do anything to get this guy cuffed. Emergency service comes, and they tell us to get out of the way, and they tase him. And this guy proceeds to look down, look at us, and basically pull out the tasers. And now he's fighting with all four of us. And again, the guy had to be 5'6" at the most. And now he's throwing four of us around. So finally, we call it 10-13, which is obviously everybody fucking get there because we're in trouble. We finally get this guy cuffed. And what happened was he was an EDP, which is an emotionally disturbed person. And he had taken some sort of PCP. I don't remember what it was, but whatever it was, he had superhuman strength. And that taught me a lesson as well, that no matter how big somebody is or how big you are, respect everyone because you're ass kicked. So anyhow, with that being said, everybody in the command got there. And it just so happened that when we were walking out the prisoner, well, he wasn't a prisoner. Let me rephrase that. He was an EDP, which means he was going to a psychiatric center. He wasn't going to jail. It just so happened. The first guy walked out. All the cops there waiting to see what this guy looks like. And it looks like we all fought the Rock, right? So the first guy came out from ESU, all fucked up. The second guy came out, same. And then the third guy came out, and then it happened to be the EDP. And when they saw his size, I mean, obviously everybody was laughing, and as cops do, and busting our chops because, we're all bigger guys. This guy comes out, he looks like, like he couldn't hurt a fly, but yet he fucked us all up. And we got him into the ambulance and it took him to the psych ward. But if you had Mamdani's way and you had a social worker respond to this call, what would have happened? What would have happened? Do you think a social worker would have been able to talk this guy down with a knife, being on PCP? I mean, do you think that would have happened? Or do you think the social worker would have been put in a position where he wouldn't be able to handle and probably would have got either stabbed, killed? And this is just like an example of something that I dealt with one time in 7 years. And again, there's a lot of other stories, and I don't want to look like I have 1,000 stories. I do, but I don't want to disrespect the guys that have been on patrol for 20 years that have 10 times more stories than I do. So where would you find the audacity to say, hey, let's defund the police because they're not, I guess, high on the totem pole where we can police ourselves. And when you start telling me that, this becomes a political threat. I mean, what potential mayoral candidate with a radical agenda like that pushing to defund the police when you have situations where people getting set on fire in the subway and things, every day is a crazy story, and you kind of forget the craziness because every time you hear, wow, there's a crazy, this is crazy, the next day it gets wiped off the news cycle, and because the next crazy story happened. So again, everybody will suffer when you have a radical mayor or a radical agenda like that. Here to start this podcast to talk politics. It's about to share stories, true crime stories, true private investigating stories, speak to other experts, share with you some crazy stuff, some stuff that I dealt with, some stuff that I still deal with as private investigating, some cold cases, so a lot of interesting things, a lot of different angles, which we're going to continue to do on a regular basis. But I had to start off with this. I didn't even want to do something today on a Sunday, but again, when I realized who Mamdani's parents were, and the mother behind the machine, and I look and I realize that she's a Hollywood producer, it all makes sense. It all makes sense because, again, this is why it's unique that I was, and I'm not going to keep saying this, it almost feels like I'm patting myself on the shoulder. It only just brings more credibility to things I'm talking about. So I've been in bigger Hollywood films. And, when you're between takes or you're in holding or you're in waiting for the next setup and you hear the thought process of some of these people. I mean, I have to keep my mouth shut because, when they don't realize that I was from a family of police officers and they just come from privilege, and I couldn't even share my political views, nor do I want to. That's not what I'm there for. But this one today is mind-boggling, and I feel like I had to come up and share something because, again, forget all his political agenda. Forget it. You had me with defunding the police. And again, there's 1,000 stories that every day could be shared. And again, that's only stuff that the press shares. And that's what they deem, what they think is newsworthy. So again, media doesn't show half the chaos that we as police officers step into. And if you want to clean the system, reform is fine, but don't remove protection. Okay, so that's what I have to discuss today because, again, when you talk about somebody who wants to use public safety alternative over police officers, you want to basically control all this stuff. Now, let me ask you a question, Mudami. Let me ask you one quick question before I leave. If you are elected, which I pray to God you're not, but if you are, when you have to go somewhere where you motorcade, are you going to have police protecting you? Are you? Or are you going to have social workers? What are you going to use to protect you? And again, if I was a cop today, and it's a different world. I was a cop in the 90s, so things are different. I was a cop pre-cell phones. So, would I even last today? I have no idea. But if I was a cop and I was asked to be on Mamdani's team, and again, believe me, I was on a lot of crazy teams, I would laugh. I would say, I don't care if you gave me a raise, if you gave me weekends off and hours 10 to 6 plain clothes, I would absolutely have all the cops come together. And this won't happen because you always have the one that's going to break rank. But I would not have any cop go on this guy's team because he's going to have cops. So again, I'm not telling you who to vote for. I don't care. Like I said, I'm more of an independent. But again, I'm going to say one thing, and I have no ties. Curtis Sliwa. Now, a lot of people worried about this guy. How is he going to run a city? He's not smart enough, whatever. Put that all aside. When you have a guy that donates his life to protecting city streets and subways and getting shot by the mafia, and you're still doing it today for almost 30 years, if not more, isn't that somebody that maybe you want protecting the city? I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. So instead of having somebody like that, let's get a 30-something-year-old guy who's radical, right? And wants to defund the police, wants to, again, I don't even want to get into the whole Palestinian thing and the whole, that whole thing. This is purely about the police. I don't know. Maybe he deserves a crack. I mean, he's not going to be, no mayor runs the city by themselves anyway. So you get a good team around you. I don't know. But again, let's get off political stuff. My thing is, anybody that wants to defund the police can't do it. You'll lose me right with that. And again, I know New York will never be, has a certain view, and I respect it. But it's all the people that are middle class and lower that would feel the wrath of no police department. So with that being said, I'm excited to do these podcasts. Again, this is going to be the only political, which I don't even think is political. This is just my opinion on somebody who's a mayoral candidate that's looking to defund the police for his own agenda, radical agenda. So I had to start off with this. Again, moving forward, we're going to have great guests. We're going to have people who have, we're going to talk Diddy and to a couple people that were on the jury. We're going to talk Michael Dowd. We're going to talk a lot of great stories. We're going to talk cold cases. We're going to talk a lot of private investigating stories. We're going to talk a lot about a lot of different things. And one thing I promise is we will give you stuff that is going to make you wow, because I'm living it and I've had the access to it. So again, stay bulletproof. We'll see you next week, and I'm excited for this, and I can't wait to start sharing all these stories with you. And the show is about truth, not sugarcoating. Future episodes will, again, a lot of crime cases, celebrity bodyguard stories, a lot of PI stories. And once again, stay bulletproof. My name is Steve Stanulis. We'll see you next week. And that's Bulletproof, your source for celebrity crime investigations. Subscribe for new episodes. Send celebrity scandal tips. Follow us on Instagram at Bulletproof True Crime Podcasts. for exclusive content. This is Steve Stanulis. I'm keeping you bulletproof against all celebrity lies.